Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Monty Belmonte.
And I'm Khalees Smith.
Later in the show for Live Music Friday, the very band you're hearing right now, Spouse, joins us just before their show tonight at Gateway City Arts in Holyoke.
And our first Tina Turner Memorial Wine Thunderdome in Franklin County, we join Dree Rawlings at the Ashfield Lake House to pit two of the restaurant's cellared wines against each other in a duel to the best.
But first, what to the slave is the 4th of July? A scathing speech delivered by abolitionist Frederick Douglass on July 5th, 1852 at an Independence Day celebration at Corinthian Hall in Rochester, New York. In the speech, the formerly enslaved Douglass cried out, "The 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice. I must mourn."
Mass Humanities has been and will be presenting public readings of this famous speech, Reading Frederick Douglass Together. Events in the 413 for 2023 include in Holyoke, Northampton, Plainfield, Springfield, Longmeadow, and Hadley.
Leading the effort for Mass Humanities is Dr. Latoya Bosworth, who joins us in the studio. Dr. Bosworth is program officer for the Reading Frederick Douglass program at Mass Humanities. Toya, or Dr. Boz, as she's known in Western Mass, is taught as an adjunct professor in education and human services. She also led many community initiatives centered on mentoring, activism, and advocacy, for which she's received much recognition.
We're also joined by several readers participating in events throughout Western Mass, including Javier Luengo Garrido. Javier is the organizing strategist for the ACLU of Massachusetts. Javier works with local and state elected officials advancing ACLU priorities. He was one of the lead people for the Yes on 4 campaign, right on, that secured the rights of immigrants to have access to driver's licenses in Massachusetts, which goes into effect in the Commonwealth tomorrow, y'all.
So with all the Supreme Court stuff, it's been a busy week for Javier. We're also joined by Usman Power Green. Professor Power Green of History and Africana Studies at Clark University in Worcester is on the board of directors of Self-Evident Education, who put on the Power of Truths Festival a couple of months ago now maybe. We had them on for that. He teaches a course on Frederick Douglass and anti-slavery in Massachusetts for Mass Humanities Clemente program in Springfield. He also authored The Confessions of Matthew Strong, which follows a black philosopher's journey into the world of white supremacy.
Anika Lopes is a seventh-generation member of the first black and Afro-Indigenous families of Amherst. In 2019, Anika rejuvenated, oh my goodness, the initiative to find a permanent placement for the Civil War tablets with her mother. She was elected to the Amherst Town Council in 2021 and in 2022 founded the Ancestral Bridges Foundation to center the neglected and lesser-known history of her ancestors who represent black and Afro-Indigenous history of Amherst through arts and culture, educational programming, and economic opportunities.
And we're joined by Dr. Michelle Tony McComb, a community chaplain from Springfield who wrote an essay for Mass Humanities called Recognizing the Need for Civic Engagement about her work as a volunteer at the Hampton County Sheriff's Community Accountability Board. She also serves which helps to prepare incarcerated individuals for reentry to the community. Tony has hosted Reading Frederick Douglass Together Springfield for the past 2 years with the assistance of Martin Luther King Jr. Family Services.
A full panel of people.
Yes, we had to move into a bigger studio because you are officially the first ones ever to be live on the air in this studio with us. So thank you all for joining us. And we're also going to have a big band in here later in the show. Perfect time to get this studio online. We've been talking about this iconic speech from Frederick Douglass, and we'll talk more about it coming up. But let's hear parts of the speech, starting first with Javier Luengo Garrido.
Fellow citizens, above your national tumultuous joy, I hear the mournful wail of millions whose chains, heavy and grievous yesterday, are, today, rendered more intolerable by the jubilee shouts that reach them. If I do forget, if I do not faithfully remember those bleeding children of sorrow this day, may my right hand forget her cunning, and may my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth, to forget them, to pass lightly over their wrongs, and to chime in with the popular theme would be treason most scandalous and shocking, and would make me reproach before God and the world. My subject, then, fellow citizens, is American slavery. I shall see this day and its popular characteristics from the slave's point of view, standing there, identified with the American bondman, making his wrongs mine. I do not hesitate to declare with all my soul that the character and conduct of this nation never looked blacker to me than on this 4th of July. Whether we turn to the declarations of the past or to the professions of the present, the conduct of the nation seems equally hideous and revolting. America is false to the past, false to the present, and solemnly binds herself to be false to the future. Standing with God and the crushed and bleeding slave on this occasion, I will, in the name of humanity, which is outraged, in the name of liberty, which is fettered, in the name of the Constitution and the Bible, which are disregarded and trampled upon, dare to call in question and denounce, with all the emphasis I can command, everything that serves to perpetuate slavery, the great sin and shame of America. I will not equivocate. I would not excuse. I will use the severest language I can command, and yet not one word shall escape me that any man whose judgment is not blinded by prejudice, or who is not at heart a slaveholder, shall not confess to be right and just.
Annika Lopes.
What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him, more than all other days in the year, the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham, your boasted liberty an unholy license, your national greatness swelling vanity. Your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless, your denunciations of tyrants brass-fronted impotence, your shouts of liberty and equality hollow mockery, your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity, are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy, a thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages.
Dr. M. Tony McComb.
There is not a nation on the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are these of these United States at this very hour. Go where you may, search where you will, roam through all the monarchies and despotisms of the old world, travel through South America, search out every abuse, and when you have found the last, lay your facts by the side of the everyday practices of this nation, and you will say with me that for revolting barbarity and shameless hypocrisy, America reigns without a rival.
Dr. Latoya Bosworth.
You invite to your shores fugitives of oppression from abroad. Honor them with banquets, greet them with ovations, cheer them, toast them, salute them, protect them, and pour out your money to them like water. But the fugitives from your own land you advertise, hunt, arrest, shoot, and kill. Fellow citizens, I will not enlarge further on your national inconsistencies. The existence of slavery in this country brands your republicanism as a sham, your humanity as a base pretense, and your Christianity as a lie. It destroys your moral power abroad. It corrupts your politicians at home. It saps the foundation of religion. It makes your name a hissing and a byword to a mocking earth.
Ousmane Power Green.
Allow me to say in conclusion, notwithstanding the dark picture I have this day presented of the state of the nation, I do not despair of this country. There are forces in operation which must inevitably work the downfall of slavery. I, therefore, leave off where I began, with hope. While drawing encouragement from the Declaration of Independence, the great principles it contains, and the genius of American institutions, my spirit is cheered by the obvious tendencies of the age. Nations do not now stand in the same relation to each other that they did years ago. No nation can now shut itself up from the surrounding world and trot round in the same old path of its fathers without interference. The far-off and almost fabulous Pacific rolls in grandeur at our feet. The celestial empire, the mystery of ages, is being solved. The fiat of the Almighty, let there be light, has not yet spent its force. No abuse, no outrage, whether in taste, sport, or avarice, can now hide itself from the all-pervading light. The iron shoe and crippled foot of China must be seen in contrast with nature. Africa must rise and put on her yet unwoven garment. Ethiopia shall stretch out her hand unto God, and in the fervent aspirations of William Lloyd Garrison, I say, and let every heart join in saying it. God speed the day when human blood shall cease to flow, and every clime be understood, the claims of human brotherhood, and each return for evil good, not blow for blow.
The powerful words of Frederick Douglass. What to the Slave is the 4th of July, which will be read in several readings throughout the course of this weekend through the 4th of July next week and beyond, read by Ousmane Power Green, Latoya Bosworth, Javier Luengo Garrido, Anika Lopes, and Tony McComb. We're going to take a little break, and then we're going to decompress, and we're going to discuss why these words that were said by Frederick Douglass so long ago still resonate today.
You're listening to The Fabulous 413 on NEPM.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. I'm Monty Belmonte.
And I'm Cleve Smith.
And we are joined in the studio by the almost the largest number of guests we've ever had and are in a new studio because we also have the band Spouse coming up later in the show, which will be excellent. But we're joined by Dr. Latoya Bosworth, Javier Luengo Garrido, Ousmane Power Green, Anika Lopes, and Dr. Tony McComb. Dr. Bosworth, you're from Mass Humanities, and you're the presenting sponsor of these events that are being read throughout Massachusetts, really, and we're focusing on the 413. That is the want of this show. And as we mentioned, there'll be readings in certain places throughout the valley, including Springfield, Longmeadow, Northampton, Hadley. Why is this something that is important for Mass Humanities to get behind and to sponsor throughout the Commonwealth?
Oh, great question. Well, I think if you turn on the television at any point in time, especially more recently, that we know why it's important to talk about that speech. In it, Frederick Douglass is really calling America out on all its principles that it supposedly stands for, and then kind of saying like, hey, what about us? Are you really sticking to what it is that you say you represent? And hosting these readings and having these readings all over Massachusetts really provides an opportunity for all of the residents of the Commonwealth to really think about where we stand with that, especially with there's being such a rise in intolerance and really currently a threat to our democracy. So it's really important for us to have those conversations and really start to figure out how we're going to handle this problem that is not going away.
You mean that same question that we've been asking since the speech originally came out?
Yes, since forever. Since forever, since the establishment of our country, absolutely.
One of the beautiful yet terrible things about this speech is how it has never lost its relevance. Mm-hmm. But
how long has Mass Humanities been sponsoring these readings?
So Mass Humanities has been sponsoring readings all throughout the state since 2009. It was definitely taking place before that, more so all over the Commonwealth. Boston was one of the huge ones that was hosting it, and that was sort of the inspiration for us creating a program that would support other nonprofits and organizations in hosting.
Excellent. And Professor Ousmane Power Green, you've been teaching a course in Frederick Douglass and in this speech. Yep. Tell us what students of today, how they react when they hear parts of the speech, when they learn about the work of Frederick Douglass.
Yeah, well, just to sort of, contextualize the speech, I mean, the course I'm teaching on Douglass and anti-slavery in Massachusetts is a part of the Clemente course in the humanities, which is sponsored by Mass Humanities, and specifically here in Springfield, the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center and Services. So I've had the privilege of working with mostly adults who enrolled in the Clemente course and then enrolled in this sort of summer course, which looks at Frederick Douglass and tries to provide context for the speech. We have the speech; it's fantastic. But over the last 6 weeks, we've been digging into Douglass's narrative and trying to understand his life and what would bring him to this moment in terms of fame after his narrative came out in 1845, right? So by 52, and it's been an incredible experience, and we are eager to share some of what we learned doing research for the course actually at the event that's taking place Tuesday in Springfield. So we're really excited about that.
So who from Massachusetts abolitionists was influential on how this speech came about, how this speech sounds.
Well, one can't miss William Lloyd Garrison's reference at the end of the speech. At this time,
Just throwing names out.
Well, I was going through the speech to see what other names he mentions, but the truth is, by this point in 1852, Douglas and Garrison, their relation had soured. So, I mean, it's interesting to think that Douglas will sort of name in the actual speech William Lloyd Garrison, when by 52, really in 1850, they really parted ways in terms of their approach to it. But obviously not influence, which is what your question was, and which was the segment that that I mentioned at the end, how it concludes. So actually, it concludes with Garrison's words, which is sort of a nod to Garrison, tad.
Annika Lopes, whose family has been part of the Amherst community for an awfully long time. Does your family stretch back to the time of this actual speech?
Absolutely. Thank you. Actually, history that I share with LaToya, my great and great grandfather were both enslaved on the same plantation as Frederick Douglass in Maryland, and then all arrived in Amherst to share a community. And so, it's really just amazing. This speech speaks to the nation as much today as it did the day that it was written, maybe even more so in ways. Shame on us for being so far away. But yes, it's just really been an honor to be connected to that history and really being a part of uplifting that lesser-known history, which has, oftentimes been co-opted at best, erased at worst, and just really be able to highlight Frederick Douglass and his role around the region.
In bringing this speech to the public and having readings of it, have you encountered that sort of American disconnect between what is comfortable and what needs to be done that is right?
Absolutely.
I guess, have you had pushback from it happening as an event?
So,
Dr. LaToya Bosworth from Mass Humanities, one of the sponsors of the year.
Too many mics in the room.
Thankfully, it is a rarity, but we have had that in some towns and places where people sort of dissent to having this event. And so it's something that we're always looking out for. So as a part of promoting the events, we actually have a sort of event safety guide that was created, as well as a trauma-informed discussion guide, which helps us to kind of prepare for that and respond to that as best as possible.
Javier Luengo Garrido, who is one of the readers in the studio with us, and as I mentioned before, is also part of the ACLU. I'm sure this week, with all of the Supreme Court decisions, has been a busy week for the ACLU, as well as the implementation of the immigrant driver's license reform that will go into effect tomorrow. Do you feel like, as someone who is working within civil liberties professionally, that how far have we come along from this speech that you'll be reading from that Frederick Douglass wrote?
It's sort of complicated, right? Because I came to the U.S. 14 years ago, before I came from Chile, right? And until coming here, I was not cognizant that if I was stopped by a police officer, my hands should not leave the steering wheel. I was not cognizant of that until I came here. I was not cognizant that any sudden movement can be used pretty much in a pretty violent way. So, that was a wake-up call for me when I came to the U.S. And all of a sudden, understanding and starting learning about all what has been happening with the U.S. and how that many, many times we're seeing all these signs that people are willing either to dissociate from what happened or plainly try to rewrite history has been concerning. When we were asked this week to choose a section of the speech was right after the affirmative action decision, right? And the one that I chose, this section, America is false to the past, false to the present, and solemnly binds herself to be false to the future, rings so real right now, right? When our actual context is so charged with violence, with targeting of immigrant communities, people of color, the Dobbs decision, the affirmative action decision, are just manifestations of a system that is trying to protect itself. And all these sort of systems protecting themselves make up to a pretty big challenge for the people here in this room to be able to move and create conscious about what's going on. Also, I have to say, in previous years, when I have seen the readings in around Western Mass, I have always felt conflicted because many times, June is the month of budgets in cities, and all of a sudden we're seeing all these cities upgrading and going up with police budgets, and all of a sudden, a couple of weeks after, all those people protecting these budgets that keep criminalizing our communities are reading this. There is a disconnection, and I think that being able to have the work that people are doing here, people in UMass are doing, people at our university are doing to keep the sense and to keep the notion, what is this for, and that is as relevant as it was so many years ago. It's fundamental.
We're having a discussion about the Frederick Douglass speech, What to the Slave is the 4th of July, which will be read in communities all throughout Western Mass, Holyoke, Northampton, Plainfield, Springfield, Longmeadow, and Hadley. You can find all of the locations through Mass Humanities' website. Dr. Tony McComb, you work with Martin Luther King Jr. Family Services right here in Springfield and Mason Square, and Professor Power Green was talking to us about Clemente Scholarship and how that will factor into it. Tell us a little bit about that program and how that ties into these speeches.
Well, Clemente, the program is through Mass Humanities, and the courses are held located at the Mass Mutual, excuse me. My mind just went somewhere else.
Not far from the Mass Mutual.
Not far from the Mass Mutual building at the Martin Luther King Jr. Family Services Center. Currently, they're being held online since COVID, but when they reconvene in-house, that's where they will be held. And MLK Jr. Family Services has been a big supporter of those classes. I am actually a graduate from the second graduating class of that, and was actually a student of Professor Power.
Tell us about those classes. What kind of what are you learning in those classes?
You get a history lesson, which is taught by Professor Power Green. There's art studies where we actually go down to the Springfield museums, and we actually have gone to Boston on field trips and gone to various museums and seen the artifacts. Writing, literature, and that's pretty much the studies that we have. Cognitive thinking, and they're 2 nights a week for about 2 hours a night. It's a lot of writing, but it's good, and it's a good opportunity for anyone who's been unable to afford to go to college for any reason or may not have had the time. We have, as Professor Power Green said, there's a lot of older students who take the courses, people who have raised families and weren't able to go to college right out of high school, and they're coming back now and continuing on with their education with the opportunity also to go to Holyoke Community College through Bard and actually earn an associate's degree.
And now you have your PhD?
I have a THD.
THD, okay.
Yes.
That's amazing, though. It's still amazing. I mean, this is incredible. And thinking about, the affirmative action decision and all of these opportunities that sometimes are lost, that this speech continues to resonate, and that all of your participation in it and putting the words of Frederick Douglass out into the 413 is most appreciated.
Even if it's still upsetting that these words are still true.
Be thinking about it as you go into 4th of July weekend, and perhaps you'll attend one of these readings in Holyoke, Northampton, Plainfield, Springfield, Longmeadow, and Hadley, presented by Mass Humanities.
And if you're not able to get to one of those readings, Mass Humanities on their site has the full speech that you can read on your own. I highly suggest that you do so. There's a lot of annotation around on the internet, but they have the full speech there, so you can read the whole thing. Well worth it.
And we also
Dr. Latoya Bosworth?
Yeah, we also have an online version of it. We created a video last year, and it was folks from all over Massachusetts, legislators, educators, and we all kind of came together and created a video as well. Henry Louis Gates is also featured in the video as well. So we created an online version as well. So that's available on our website and on YouTube as well.
And it's at masshumanities.org.
Yeah, no, I also
Professor Power Green?
Yeah, I just want to sort of point out that I think that one of the reasons why the speech is so relevant is exactly because of the irony in the speech, right? And so just, thinking about what Javier mentioned about seeing people sort of who aren't sort of aware of the irony of them reading the speech, given some of their sort of views about, all sorts of topics, I think that's what makes it so valuable, actually, right? Yeah. Because some people, people talk about figures in Black history and, oh, this person's so great, but they don't even know what they actually say in their critique. And so to have a person of Douglas' stature offer such an important and also timeless, apparently, examination of the United States really resonates with what Justice Jackson wrote in her dissenting view, which very much vibed off of the history of race relations in the country. So to me, those who are interested, who are listening, read at least Justice Jackson's dissenting view, and then go read Douglas and think about a bit about the ways in which our Supreme Court justices, some of them understand the relevance of these issues to this day and the importance of it. So,
All right, Professor, give him some homework.
I got to do that. Okay.
I was about to say.
Right.
He's giving homework.
Hey, this is life. This ain't theory, y'all. This is our day.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. You can check out more at masshumanities.org. A huge thank you to Dr. LaToya Bosworth, Javier Luengo Garrido, Professor Usman Power Green, Anika Lopes, and Dr. Tony McComb. Thank you all so much.
Soon, we'll hear the band that made our theme song, including perhaps the full song. Spouse joins us in the studio.
And up next, we'll take the Wine Thunderdome to Franklin County with Dree Rawlings of Ashfield Lake House, including their delicious improbable salad.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on NEPM.
The Fabulous 413. You're not all bad.
Dree is taking one of our Fabulous 413 stickers and putting it up on the Ashfield Lake House A that is right behind the bar, right above a note that says, "You're not all bad." It just so happens that the color of the font in the "You're not all bad" makes it look like that is our new slogan. And maybe it is now. The Fabulous 413, you're not all bad. We are at the bar, the Ashfield Lake House on the Ashfield Lake in Ashfield, and this is a bunch of firsts for us here in the Tina Turner Memorial Wine Thunderdome, because this is our first Franklin County Wine Thunderdome.
We've been trying so hard for so long.
And we put out many offers. This is our first restaurant wine list Thunderdome, and this is our first female-fronted wine Thunderdome. What's your name, purveyor of the Ashfield Lake House?
Dree Rawlings. You always make me sound like a jerk, so I
What do you mean?
I try to have like a voice that feels very calm.
You're never calm, so
I'm
why would you
never
try to have a
calm.
voice that sounds very calm?
I know.
Dree's had amazing wine lists over the years that she's been at the helm of the Ashfield Lake House here. I did a column for the Valley Advocate once about it was all female winemakers that she was featuring on the list, 100% of the list. She's a wine snob with a good palate, and she wants to do our Wine Thunderdome in brown paper bags like the folks at Nee James did in Lenox, where we're
Blind tastings are the best.
Yeah, we'll blind taste it. We'll tell what we like about each one. We'll try to guess what it might be, and then we'll decide which one we like best. 2 wines enter, 1 wine leaves.
2 men enter, 1 man leaves.
Just pour them. You didn't even need to put them in bags. You could have just poured them under the counter where we can't
I'm
see.
just gonna say, close your eyes for a second.
Okay. I can hear the glug glug. I can also hear Chris Rawlings, other partner here at Ashfield Lake House, weed whacking outside. Come here and look at his incredible stone designs, patios, walkways.
I smell things in front of me, so
You
my
have
eyes.
Are we ready?
You have been served.
Thank you.
You come from an art background too, which is what I love. You and Chris both went to RISD, right?
Yes.
And then you bring that sort of artistic touch to all the things that you do here at the Lake House.
You mean the Fun Palace?
The Fun Palace, as somebody came and declared it the other day.
This summer, I'm just pull the pin out. We're here Friday through Sunday night. Apparently, I get information that we're secret opened. Fine with that. All the good people have been finding us.
You called it Queer Cheers.
That was actually, I'm going to give the credit where it's due to Public Emily Lichter. She was the first one to hashtag Queer Cheers.
We need to make Ashfield Lake House shirts with the Cheers font that says Queers on it. I want that shirt.
I want that shirt.
I think it's happening.
All right, well, what are you smelling in the first wine that we've been poured here at the Lake House?
Any other white that we've had, it's richer. There's a little bit of honey, but there's a fruit note in here that I can't put my finger on, and I really like it. It's like deep and musky.
Yeah, I was gonna say muskmelon is the fruit that I get, and definitely honey.
Oh, I like this.
I like it a lot too.
This is fun.
But would I be able to blind taste what variety, grape or grapes it is and what region? This is not a wine from the United States.
This is the most fun that I've had in so long.
Even though you run a Fun Palace?
Even though I work in a Fun Palace.
It's very aromatic and perfumey. I quite like it.
Would you say sexy?
Very sexy.
It is pretty
The muskmelon gives it the sex.
It's very well. This wine is curvy. I don't want to necessarily say feminine, but like it is like really
You
like.
can say femme. Why not? So, do I have to tell you guys what this is?
Not yet.
Wait till the
Very
end. Oh,
Yeah, wait till the end.
I'm loving
Now we
that.
want to taste the second one.
Yes. Eyes closed again.
We can open our eyes?
Yes.
Oh,
This one's pink. Smells very rich.
you know what this smell reminds me of? Service berries.
Oh, yeah, we were just looking at the serviceberry tree out in front of New England Public Media.
They're edible if the birds haven't eaten all of them, and they taste kind of between strawberry and a blueberry. It's really nice.
Oh, I don't know what they are.
I like this a lot.
I think this is a rosé of Tempranillo.
Really?
Yeah.
It seems drier than that. This is gonna sound so terrible. It has a very pleasant glue thing happening on the nose.
Dree and I have the same laugh. We both cackle like witches.
We really.
I have been in an audience at a play, and somebody thought Dree Rawlings was there
Isn't that amazing?
because it was me laughing.
And vice versa.
Not me. You know I'm in the building.
Yeah, everybody knows when Khalees is there, the laughing starts. And that's a great thing.
You can't come into the fun palace and not cackle like an.
There is a beautiful beach out here that I've spent many a day on, like
Yes.
hanging out right next to the lake house. You were up in some room.
Oh, I was
while
in the
out-
office.
Well, I was out there with the acclaimed actor Corbin Burnson, two fat, bald white men talking to each other topless on a beach, and then I get a text from Dree Rawlings of me talking to him, and I was
I
like,
was like, you just might want this.
never share this.
I was like, this didn't happen. I didn't recognize him. He was like super low key, but the bartender at the time came running in the back and is like couldn't like talk. I was like, what's happening? She was like, the guy from Psych, and I was like, oh wait, he was on LA Law.
Yep,
Right, because
West Wing.
I'm old. I was like, oh, my kids watch Psych. They love that. My kids, like, I text them. Maybe an hour later, I'll get like some response. I texted them. I was like, hey, that guy from Psych is here. 3 seconds, my phone was buzzing off the counter. They're like, block the exits. We're on our way. He also said that we have a better tuna melt than the Ivy in LA.
Well, hello.
Nice.
All right, shall we revisit the wines one more time? There is a white that is very honeysuckle, honey-y, very femme, very curvy, very sexy, and a rosé that I think is stank in the best way.
I feel like this is Clue.
Yes, it is. It's Colonel Mustard.
Yes, in the kitchen with guava.
You weren't jealous that your husband was stopping Yvette. That's why you killed him, too.
Yes, I did it. I killed Yvette. I hated her so much. It flames on the side of my face.
Is it German?
Nope.
Is it then French?
No.
Is it American?
No.
But it definitely feels either Mediterranean or New Zealand.
I don't think New Zealand.
I still feel Mediterranean.
Is it Mediterranean?
No.
Oh, is it not? Okay.
Not
How
US.
many wrongs do you get before I tell you what
We get all the wrongs.
information?
when
Oh,
you
I
tell
love
us.
this so much. How do I not know about this show?
We've only been on for 4 months.
Okay, it's not the Mediterranean.
It's not Germany. It's not France.
You didn't
Is this
call
Italian?
South- you
Is this
didn't call
Pinot
South America.
Grigio?
It's Italian.
It's Italian. That is Mediterranean.
Oh, it is. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
you know, I was as soon as I said no, I was like, oh wait, that's wrong.
I guess technically it could be not Mediterranean if it's in northern Italy.
Am I bringing it out of the
Bring it
bag?
out.
Yeah.
Venega.
Garganega Veronese. So, Verona is, I would have to say, is close enough to the Mediterranean
Okay.
to call it Mediterranean. So you nailed it.
Okay. From Valpolicella, 2,500 bottles produced, so like very tiny. Quercia laboriosa is the laborious oak, and it was named by the daughters of the winemaker in tribute to their late mother who founded the estate.
Beautiful.
How cool, right? It's like, it's a little bit electric. It's electric. This is the wine that when someone's like, you have natural wine here. I want to try something that might be gross. And I'm like, ugh. This is like what I will give to babies because it is fun and babies who are over 21.
Yes, not literal babies.
No, new to the low intervention wine
There's a
scene.
whole, like, people in buzzwords.
But also, I want things to be delicious. It's not about a dare. It's about having a good experience.
There's nothing
with wine.
gross about it.
No.
It's delicious.
It's delicious.
Wine number 2, guesses? It's a rosé.
I know why you think it's Tempranillo. I'm not sure I agree.
Okay.
But
this could also be Italian because I said Spanish or Italian. There's a funk. Spain and Italy both smell like leather jackets to me. I'm sticking with Tempranillo, but I would also say it could be a rosé of Sangiovese.
I would take that.
Dree Rawlings from the Asheville Lake House. Wine number 2 is...
Because there's a tiny little bit of spice on this one.
Willamette Valley Maloof Pinot Gris.
What? This is not Pinot Gris.
What? Yeah, it is!
100%.
Oh my god!
This is a trick.
Yeah,
We've been had.
I love the Pacific Northwest as a region.
Yeah.
Just in general, such cool things happen there. I would never have guessed this came from there. But the service berries make a lot more sense now. It's not service berry, it's Loganberry.
Pinot Gris is usually not red at all. It's like Pinot Grigio.
This is such a cool wine.
It is a spectacular wine.
Very weird, very cool.
I'll wait until we actually judge.
Well, I'm ready.
Okay, it's this one.
It's that one for me too.
And we say this
And
one.
this one.
For on the
Yeah, we're pointing.
It's the one from Oregon, like that one.
Pinot Gris.
Yeah, the Pinot Gris. Like this wine is constantly surprising.
What the hell? I mean, I'm still kind of dumbfounded by it.
Maloof, these winemakers, it's husband and wife and another partner in the winemaking, and
I'm totally open with that. Yeah.
it's consensual.
Good.
One would hope.
They're minimal intervention. They're kind of hot right now.
I did
And
not know
rightly
that
so.
Pinot Gris was a red grape.
It's gris.
Right.
But every expression of Pinot Gris that I've had has been a white wine.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Almost all juice comes out of almost every grape clear. And then
And
you
it's
make
contact with skin
Right.
that gives you the color. I genuinely
That is it.
did not know that Pinot Gris had red skin. This wine is like genuinely fascinating.
Because
like,
of the weirdness. Because of the queerness of it. Here at Queer Cheers. Where everybody knows your name. I think this is definitely a good one
accidental
to choose.
pride wine, I'm for it.
Yeah, me too.
But what I'm also taking away from this experience is that you think both of these are f***ing dope.
Yeah, no, they're both great.
Both of these wines, I super want to gas up Violette Imports in Cambridge. Amazing family biz and being run now by Sophie, who is the daughter. And she is actually coming here at the end of July, and we're doing a dinner with her wines. So that's hot stuff, because both of these that you loved are from her, and her book is really white hot.
Book in wine terms means the wines she has to sell. It's not like she wrote a book about wine.
Maybe she might.
We'll need another Pinot.
Coming up, it's Live Music Friday, and we've got the largest and loudest band that we've ever had for Live Music Friday in the studio, who just so happens to do our intro music, Spouse.
Yeah, they're here before their show at Gateway City Arts this evening. You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on NAPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, helping customers make the switch to solar for savings, energy security, and tax incentives. Learn more at northeast-solar.com.
Do you hear that music? That was one of the first things we decided upon as the Fabulous 413 was forming. Who locally could we use for music to typify what we love about this place that we live? And unanimously and without any dissent or even conversation, frankly.
I believe, I basically said, we should use this song, and you said, okay.
Love it. It's one of the bands that we don't want to play favorites, but
they're kind of one of my favorites.
They're kind of one of my
I can't
favorites.
intro this band because I have no chill.
And this band is called Spouse. They are playing at Gateway City Arts in Holyoke tonight. We are joined by Jose Ayerve, JJ O'Connell, who's making his second appearance on Live Music Friday.
With slightly more of a drum this time.
Yeah, last time he stole a box out of the hallway.
This
and
time we get a tambourine.
a tambourine with brushes. Mark Seedorf and Ken Murray. Let's hear the theme song. What's it called, Jose?
This is called Relocation Tactics off of the album of the same name. Thanks. I want it back when I move to another town. If I don't need it anymore, what's the point? Why not get used to it gone? I ride the fence while you steer away from all the mess inside this space. I might as well just hold both hands to my head. I pull away, you pull away. We could collapse from the weight of all the chains that we attach, and we try to miss the train that jumps the tracks. I ride the fence while you steer away from all the mess inside this space. I might as well just hold both hands to my head. I pull away, you pull away. Love, it always breaks my heart to see you turn away. Can I live without your side? Cold is warmth without your touch. And I could use a little love to tear myself up off the ground, throw myself back in the sun. I miss you like the memory cells. And do you hang around? I'm leaving instead. Don't shake me when I'm feeling sad. Stand back while I do this myself. Only if I cancel their squares, I move on, but I can't confess. I miss you like the memory says.
Live Music Friday with the band playing Gateway City Arts in Holyoke tonight. Spouse, Jose Ayerve, JJ O'Connell, Mark Seedorf, and Ken Murray. Jose, for those who not, unlike Khalees and I, haven't been obsessing over you for decades, how long have you all been a band together?
Spouse dates back to about 1993, 94, 95.
So that would make this an auspicious 30-ish year anniversary.
Right. And we'll keep it inauspicious. There's been a wide sort of rotation of musicians that I've been, for lack of a better word, blessed to work with. And the current configuration, Ken and JJ's involvement in the band dates back to about 1999 when we were recording and playing some shows in support of Nozomi. And Mark came on board around 2017, 2018 with the release of our EP, Sell the Silver, which we did with local legend Peyton Pinkerton. And then there have been a ton of other musicians that have been involved and are still involved in the collaboration for the recordings and stuff, and they're kind of dispersed all over the country.
And you put out an album this year, yes?
Yes. Did we? Yes, we put out an EP with the original members of the band called Nightjar. So Spouse started when I was a student at Bowdoin College with John Cowden and Alicia Goldblatt. Alicia Goldblatt is she's a poet, she's a writer, she's an author. She lives up in Maine, and she's contributed throughout the years to the lyrics for many different albums and melodies, and she's just a wonderful and talented kind of collaborator that's also within our wonderful wealth of musicians. So, yeah.
Well, we're going to run out of time, so here's what I think we should do. Let's tell everybody what's going to happen on Monday's show.
Oh, there you go.
And then we'll hear you play a song until the end of the show. Monday, maybe nothing makes me feel and believe more in the ideals of the 4th of July and the Declaration of Independence than immigrants becoming U.S. citizens, and that's just what's going to be happening this 4th of July on the old courthouse lawn in downtown Northampton.
We'll talk with Center for New Americans Director Laurie Millman and Gary Winter, originally from Jamaica, who will become a U.S. citizen on the 4th. And we'll take the same citizenship test that he had to take to become a citizen. Plus, John Flansburgh from They Might Be Giants joins us, and I will also have No Chill Then.
Yeah. Khalees has a lot of her favorite acts coming on this show.
I just get real excited when people I love I get to talk to.
Well, let's hear this band that is older than our engineer, Betsy Lankto, who are playing at Gateway City Arts in Holyoke tonight. One more from Spouse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, be nice if I had the volume up. 1, 2.
Are you gonna fly when you go and leave me here? And are you gonna ride when you go into the other side? Who you gonna miss when every word you write's a hit? Just before you split, are you gonna kiss or wave goodbye? Are you gonna kiss or wave goodbye? Are you gonna kiss or wave goodbye? Are you gonna trip when you pick it up to go? Take your stupid plans with you, 'cause I don't wanna know. I don't wanna write you out, I know. So stick it in your file. Someone might just get the point. No one to go south. Don't slow down until you're out of sight. Don't slow down until you're out of sight. Don't slow down until you're out of sight. All your fans keep taking more of a hold as your heart tries breaking through to your soul. Egos get invaded, ours both get inflated. Flame it till your heart's content. Flame it till your heart's content. Who you gonna hurt when you flake on what you swore and savor all the calm before the storm? Trains don't always run an hour more. Who you gonna? Are you gonna kiss or wave goodbye? Don't slow down until you're out of sight. Are you gonna kiss or wave goodbye?
We're going to wave goodbye. Spouse, playing at Gateway City Arts in Holyoke tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.